Detective Pikachu trailer drops. So this kind of took me by surprise personally. I didn't realize this was happening. It popped up on social media and I was like, oh shit, what's this? So Pokemon Detective Pikachu trailer released. It's a live action trailer. Pikachu is voiced by Ryan Reynolds. I'm a little bit vague on the actual storyline because I believe it's based very loosely on the game of Detective Pikachu.
Very loosely.
So,
mainly just by the title.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, Isla, what are your thoughts on the trailer? And when you saw it, what was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction genuinely was like of disbelief. Like, I have watched live action fan made Pokemon trailers for years, and I have wanted a live action Pokemon for years just to see what it would look like, and it's exactly what I thought it was going to look like. Like like the way the Pokemon are designed. In fact, who was telling me this? My friend in work was telling me they got the guy. There's a guy who's really famous for doing the trailers. There you go. See, there's a guy who's really famous for doing the trailers, the fake Mon trailers for live action Pokemon, and they got him on board to do the designs for Pokemon Detective Pikachu. So I think it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
I also think that after like it sunk in, and then I watched Birdkeeper Toby's video and his breakdown of like all the different things that were in it, and I watched IGN's video and the breakdown of all the different things that were in it. And then I watched the trailer like 5 times, and I watched it again, and it, like just to see what I really love about it is that it's not hyper focused on one generation. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, look, here's a no poster, and there's like Pokemon from Gen 5, there's a Rufflet, there's whatever, there's like all these different types of like Pokemon and themes in the world. What I love the most about it is the idea of this live action Pokemon world and what they could do with a world like that if it's successful. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, we've got all these generations, we've got all these places that we go to, we visit Johto, we visit Kanto, we visit Sinnoh, whatever. Then you've got this other universe, which is a little bit darker, a little bit funnier, a little bit more adult. Mm-hmm. And that really intrigues me as an adult who loves Pokemon. Like the idea of something that's a little bit risky, a little bit less hand-holding and child-friendly and family-friendly. So I am super into it, and I can't wait to watch it.
So, Ed, same question for you. Like, after this dropped, actually, before I say that, did you guys know this was going to come out, this trailer?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I knew that it existed. I didn't know the trailer was going to drop, but I knew that they were making it.
Yeah, I was aware, but it was sort of one of those things where you hear a lot about movies, especially anime or kind of popular Japanese franchises that they'll Hollywoodize that never materialize because they buy the rights, they start producing the movie and then realize, this has no legs. So I kind of imagined this would end up that way. So when the trailer did drop, I was a bit like, no way. And then, so when I started watching it, I thought, do you know what? Already it looks quite cool, like seeing a world of Pokemon. Yeah, they all look CGI as hell, but who cares? You're watching it and going, these are really cool, realistic portrayals of how a Pokemon might look. And then Ryan Reynolds voicing him is the one thing maybe I'm less comfortable with. I love Ryan Reynolds. Don't get me wrong.
Deadpool Pikachu?
I think it's a bit too it's the performance is no different, for instance, between him doing Deadpool and him doing Pikachu.
Ryan Reynolds' performance doesn't change him much anyway, if we're really honest.
No, and I suppose that's fair, but I do like Ryan Reynolds, and I know he's going to do a good job. And it, like, the trailer made me chuckle at a couple of bits. Mr. Mime is creepy.
Oh my god, but how amazing is he as well?
Not
and the
Psyduck. Did you see the images of the Psyduck? Like,
when he explodes.
He's my favourite.
Yeah,
but...
creepy.
The release of, like, I'm presuming that explosion in the trailer is him releasing his.
Well, they cut it to make it look like it is. There's a chance it isn't, but that happens in the anime because that's why Psyduck gets headaches. Apparently, is because it's got loads of psychic potential or something like that. So maybe that's a reason. But I'm excited to see it. It was really good watching all the what Pokemon were actually in the trailer kind of things. And you saw like an Audino, a Charmander, Dodrio, and then on signs and stuff in the background, there's like a Wooper and a Smogle or whatever it's called. There's loads of different things in there. I'm really excited to see it because it's about time we saw Pokemon on the big screen in some way, not in an animated way.
And what's interesting is they make an animated Pokemon movie every single year. So this year we're getting Minamonogatari or Power of Us, which is a stupid English title. I don't know why they gave it that shitty English title, but whatever. They could have just called it Everyone's Story. Like, that's how you translate it from Japanese, is Everyone's Story. So why would they call it The Power of Us? It really bothers me. Anyway, so we've got The Power of Us coming out, which is done by Wit Studios, who are a really good studio in Japan. The screenwriter is the screenwriter of the Ancient Magnus's Bride, which is a really highly rated anime. And we get one of those every single year. So the idea that we're going to get this brand new live action, darker movie is really interesting, because I was interested in The Power of Us because of who's doing it and the studio that's doing it. I haven't been interested in a Pokemon movie in years because they're very aimed at kids, right? They're aimed at a younger audience, and it doesn't match me anymore. So the idea of Detective Pikachu, that's interesting. And the world and all the, when they were breaking down the trailer, when you watch all the breakdown videos and all the detail that's in this world already from the trailer, how fun would that have been as a Pokemon fan to work on that and make posters of like legendary Pokemon fighting and the missing Charmander poster and the missing Squirtle poster and the Japanese writing versus the English writing and the kanji and the whatever. Anyway, it looks amazing. Super excited.
Do you know what? Do you know what I'm excited to think about is, I think you did touch on this a bit, Isla, was the idea that it'll open up more films in the Pokemon franchise if this does well. Because have any of you guys seen the Pokemon Origins? Is it called Pokemon Origins?
Yes. Yeah, the one
Pokemon
that
Origins anime. Roger, Jim, have you guys seen those?
I haven't, no.
So Pokemon Origins, I think it is available on YouTube, but it's the story of
watch it on YouTube,
Pokemon Red and Blue told as an anime, and it's really good. It's the story you would have played through Red, Blue, and Yellow, but through that, and it's really, really good. It's very short. You can do it in an hour of your life. Watch all 4 episodes, and I would love to see them do this, to do a big, gritty, realistic-looking Pokemon game of the Pokemon Origin storyline, because everyone knows it, and even the newer generation now might not know it, and it's a really nice story. And if you can tell it well, that would be exciting. So I'd like to see them try that, or a series. Series are more the way forward.
A series.
I would way prefer a series.
Yeah.
You could feel so many more plot points if you did.
Yeah, and I just prefer having a long series to watch. Like, you just absorb so much more.
Rather than having that 2 hours of fix, you've got
it's cozier having something that you get.
Like, you watch a film and then you go home and then it's like, well, I know it's like at least 2 years until I'm going to see another one. Whereas a series, you can just space it out. I like so.
Good point, well made, Jim.
That is true.
James, what
the budget we need to be Game of Thrones level budget.
Sorry, say again, sorry?
So we need to be a Game of Thrones level budget for all the CGI.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
absolutely.
So we need to be Game of
you don't want to be half-assing it.
No.
So, James, what are your thoughts when you saw the trailer, when it dropped?
I was super excited. Like, the one thing I did note is the fact that I'd liked that they not done it in kind of like a normal Pokemon setting. So they've gone for like a main city. Where, like, obviously people, like, Pokemon exist in the world, but it's not like everyone's a trainer running around battling and stuff like that. Some people just live their lives as normal, as though, like, Pokemon are just animals walking around, but they have no interest in going and catching them and things like that. So it's kind of like, you'd have other cities, like out in the countryside, maybe, where that is what everyone does, but we're in the city where people would just see a Pokemon and carry on walking
We
past.
didn't see a Pokeball in the trailer.
No.
I did think that, actually. I was thinking, like, are we not going to be... Is Pokeballs not a thing? Or is it going to be...
Well, that would be interesting.
I would imagine they are. I don't think you could have a Pokemon world without Pokeballs.
Do you think it's going to be like an animal rights thing, where basically it's like cruel keeping
I don't know, but,
Pokeballs?
Like, I did notice that there weren't any specific, like, trainers and stuff. There were, like, arenas.
That looked quite underground, though.
Yes.
But
like,
is that going to be, like, dog fighting?
It does look a bit.
Like UFC for Pokemon.
But yeah, but I'm kind of glad they went for that setting, like not following a specific set of trainers around battling gyms and stuff like that. I'm glad they went with something weird and kooky like they have.
What they went for was a real world.
Yeah,
that's what they went for.
That's
they went
exactly
for,
what I was just about to say.
That's what they've gone for, and I think the interesting thing about that is it's to entice everyone. Like, because when you're a kid, right, and you grew up when you watched Pokemon, I know I'm not speaking for myself when you think I would have loved a Pokemon. I would have loved to have had a Charizard or anything. Like, I would have loved to have been a Pokemon trainer.
You say that, this is really weird. I had a story of that, and I went to Asda when I was really young, and there was this point where they had very first brought out these Pokemon plushies that turned inside out into a Pokemon. And I had a Psyduck one. So yeah, it would have a zip, like, and then you undid it, and then it would turn into a Psyduck. You could zip it back up, and it would be a ball. I carried that around with me for months, and I would pretend that it was my Pokemon. Yeah, so I got to live that theoretically.
I have to admit, I did lose my shit a little bit when we saw Bulbasaur on the trailer. I was just like, I really, really, really want a Bulbasaur. There's just something about
I love they haven't made them cute as well.
Yeah, they're just like,
same,
and it's like,
same.
and they're all there, just wandering around. It's like, it's just so awesome. I got to admit, when I first saw it, because I didn't know anything about it, the story got shared on Facebook, and I actually thought for half a second, is this real? And I was like, you know,
I imagine a lot of people did. To be fair,
and I was like, because I watched it, and I was like, is it real? Is it real? And then actually, when I heard Ryan Reynolds' voice, that's when I was like, this is actually put it to a point where like they wouldn't have got a main actor like that to do this if it had been fake. But like I said before we started the topic, my girlfriend's daughter isn't really into Pokemon. I watched this trailer. I went into the other room where she was playing on the PlayStation 4 and I said, watch this. And she watched it and she went, oh, that looks so cool. And I was like,
boom, I've got my
level. Because like she'll go to cinema, we'll watch it. And then she'll
then get Pokemon Go on her phone.
She's just downloaded it, so I'm like, the next game's coming out on Friday, and I'm like, it's 2-player. I'm like, we'll be fine. And I'm just like, this is it. This is hopefully the point where she'll get into it because she's about the same age when I started. She's maybe a little bit older when I got into it. And I'm like, this could be the gateway for her to get into the games. And it's just almost trying to get over that hurdle of the learning about Pokemon and knowing the mechanics of it and all and everything like that. And with the next game coming out being a little bit watered down in that way, this could be a nice way for her to branch out into the franchise.
Yeah.
Plus,
I think so.
Like when I was walking the dog as well, I was trying to think of like comparisons to the trailer and the world that they created. And a really weird comparison, which I'm going to make, so stick with me on this, is Blade Runner. When they created the world of Blade Runner, and you see him walking amongst the world in the city, and they've taken different cultures, and they've sort of morphed them into one, and you see like the unusual technology and things like that. When I saw the trailer, and you see him walk out into the streets, and there's Pokemon walking, I had this sort of feeling that was very Blade Runner style of merging cultures together, merging franchises together in real world, and like you say, giving that grittiness to it as well.
It does look a bit like that, you're right.
And that's what's the comparison that I was
totally
making.
Get that.
Yeah, I can.
Because they have the blended Japan and the blended the Japanese culture and English culture, I guess, or Western culture. Even though it's a fully Hollywood thing, and the one thing I'll say about it is that we have never ever had a good live action anime
adaptation.
Nothing has ever been good. And Hollywood has never made anything good. Sorry, I should correct that. Japan have made good live action. But like they've made decent live action.
The Death Note one was okay, I think.
The Death Note one was fine. But what the problem with doing live action of an anime or a video game is that when you can animate something, animation is a limitless thing. So anime, whatever you can think and imagine, you can animate. When you translate that to live action, it doesn't always work, and that's the problem.
I think Bleach is
the willing suspension of disbelief is
exactly
removed when it's no longer animated because you're watching real people do it. No matter how sci-fi it gets.
Yeah. See, Bleach is like that. I saw the trailer for Bleach, and it just like the live action one. And it was just too weird. For live action.
I was about to use the Bleach one as an example for movies that get announced as like, oh, they're making a Bleach movie that never get made. But then I remember they've just announced it. Is there a trailer for it?
It's out.
It's out on Netflix.
Oh, the movie's
it's out on Netflix. Yeah, it's out on Netflix, dude. It's been out for a while. Like what, a month? Maybe.
Is it? Oh God, I've not even heard anything about it. Is it that poor?
It's all right. It's not bad. It's not super bad, but it's not amazing.
Is it better than the Death Note Hollywood one?
Obviously, anything's better.
In the chat, let me on Twitch says live action anime movies done right. No Death Note or Dragon Ball Evolution rubbish.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Evolution.
Dragon Ball Evolution. The guy in Dragon Ball Evolution admitted he'd never read the source material. Well, put it down then.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: like, if you're going to make something and not read the source material, then you need to make it something that's different, but still I guess faithful
Akin
to
to the
fans.
same
Like,
thing,
like
absolutely.
it's like what they could have done, what they did with Death Note. Sorry, it's not Pokemon. What they did with Death Note, is they took the source material, they ripped it apart, and they tried to do something different, but it didn't work because if you're going to use the same characters and names, it doesn't work. Like Light is cunning and charming, and Light. And Death Note was not. So with Pokemon, with them taking Detective Pikachu and putting it in a different world and not having Ash Ketchum,
You don't have anything to base it
Team
against.
Rocket, you've got nothing to base it on.
But
So
it's,
that's
but it's
where
still.
I think the difference is gonna be.
That's what I was going to say actually, was that if they created this, it doesn't mean that that is not some form of either story in their world, or it actually might have happened.
Now that would be
Yeah.
cool.
So
Although I don't know
things
about anybody else, but I don't want to see a live action Ash Ketchum.
No, I
No,
don't.
No, it would
I'd
ruin
like
it
them to
totally.
maybe.
Or James,
Yeah.
or anybody that exists in the
keep
Pokemon
same
world currently.
personality. You would never get them looking right. You'd always be looking at him like, you don't look like Ash.
That's
Yeah,
why I
You know what I mean?
that's where-
Like,
that's
how
where
would you
live
live
action
action
would
Brock? Is it
Yeah.
just a guy walking around with his eyes closed all the time? Like, it just wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't work. And
I
you,
like
that's
Brock.
how you relate
Again,
to
willing
Brock.
suspension of disbelief is all
Yeah.
removed in Pokemon.
But like, you
when
relate to
do
Brock because of his eyes. Like, I do anyway, personally. But like,
Yeah.
if
that. You
were to
relate
do
to
that-
him on the closed eyes.
Yeah.
thing, do you?
Yeah, but like, do you know what I mean? But that's like, that's the most distinctive thing about Brock in the animation. So if you suddenly
Absolutely.
Ash was like, hey,
I
what's
noticed
this
his
here? And
gilet
on
first,
screen
you
walks on
racist.
this guy with big eyes and glasses. You're going to be
question
like,
is, do you think we'll see
Well, they
this
do.
joint?
What's interesting about Detective Pikachu is they do have a slight homage to Pokemon in the sense, if you notice that the girl hasn't talked, but she's ginger, like Misty, and there's a kind of Misty vibe about her. So there's an idea of that floating about that, like, you know, you've got a ginger, a redhead protagonist or
But
a female protagonist.
It's a really, really good way to introduce Pokemon in live action by doing it in this way. I think it's really good. And who knows, if this blows up, we may get another film where it's following a Pokemon trainer and maybe follow down a different path.
possibly.
It'll be interesting to see where they go from this. Once, obviously, it's not even out yet. But I'm always like, further down the line, are we going to get a Marvel, Star Wars situation where we're going to get a few more coming? And they're going to be a series of films? Are they going to be loosely connected? Something along those lines.
I'm hoping it's going to be full of Easter eggs, though. That's what I'm hoping. Like, there's going to be loads and loads of stuff that, like, people like us lot will just see it and notice it in the background, things like that. Maybe just like someone playing, like, even just a Game Boy on, like, in the background with Pokemon playing on it, like, just where someone's put it on the ground, like, just things like that would be amazing.
It's all that world building that it already looks like it has, and world building is like the best way to introduce a world like that, because like you've got Pokemon, which is such a huge entity, and there's all these different generations and whatever, and being able to squeeze it all into this one world for fans alike, whether you started in Kanto or Sinnoh or wherever, Unova, doesn't matter. Like, there's something for you in it.
Yeah.
And it's not the story we've ever heard before, and it's not related really to Detective Pikachu, the game. This is very loose.
Yeah.
Very, very, very loose.
Obviously, we are breaking down the trailer, and obviously, it'd be interesting to see what more footage that we see as time comes around. I just think, going from what we've seen so far, it does feel like it's made by Pokemon fans for Pokemon fans. It's someone who's obviously grown up with Pokemon and their sort of view on how they would see it in a real world. I think the whole thing, it looks amazing. I can't wait to see more. Let us know down in the chat if you've seen the trailer, and give us opinions on it. Are you looking forward to it? Do you think it's going to be good? Are you apprehensive a little bit about it? Let's see. We'll see what happens. Let us know down in the comments what your thoughts are.